Good morning and welcome to the latest 30-minute business entrepreneur session on the topic of legacy planning. Legacy planning's an interesting topic for me, having gone through this. I want to share some of what I learned along the way. I mentioned legacy planning. Planning kind of indicates there's a plan. There's four things on today's agenda. You will leave a legacy, whether intentional or not. There's some financial steps you want to take now, so you understand what it is you're actually trying to achieve with your legacy. You need to look at what skills gap there is within your organisation to enable your legacy. And then lastly, you need to consider how you're going to leave your business when the time comes. I'll start by sharing this with you. So I mentioned planning. Mike Tyson in 1987 was quoted as saying, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face." And that doesn't mean he didn't have a plan. It just meant that for all the planning, you still needed to roll with it. I think sometimes people are resistant about creating a plan because they know that their life is going to change between now and when they exit their business, when they retire, when they kind of think about doing something else. So, as I said, you will leave a legacy. You'll leave a legacy, whether it's intentional or not, whether you choose to talk to people about what you intend or not. There will be an opportunity where whatever you do is going to impact those around you. You will find, if you're employing staff, that they talk about your legacy even if you don't. They wonder what will happen when you're too old and you want to put on a nice fancy Hawaiian shirt and go and spend some time away from the office. They will be talking about it even if you don't. And them not knowing what your plan is perhaps even a distraction to them, as in what is it they kind of are thinking may actually be counterintuitive. They may be the kind of people who will look to leave because they don't know what the future has in store for them. You may have a great future planned for them. You know, your legacy may be the smoothest thing that means that they've got reassurance that their jobs are safe forever. But actually, how do you communicate that with them? And if you don't communicate it, they'll be thinking of their own. Some exits do require planning. So actually thinking about how you're going to exit will help you on your journey as you start to plan your exit. So, but whether intentional or accidental, you will leave a legacy. And what you really need to do is to make sure that, you know, people talk about falling under a bus. What would happen? What would happen to you, your investment, your business, and the people? If you care about your people, what provision have you made for them? So, next point on the agenda was about financial planning and 4 steps. So we're going to talk about your personal wealth requirement, what you need at the point that you leave your legacy, at the point you leave your business. What does that look like? What you've currently got in your squirreled away for your living, what your business is currently worth, and then the wealth gap, what it is you're trying to cover. So without further ado, personal wealth requirement. Looks like a smiley face. I discovered this about 5 or 6 years ago. I was doing my own plans, and what I came to realize was how much money I would need in my legacy, how much money I would need when I retire, would actually be different as I go through my life. So in those early phases of retirement, perhaps, you know, for me, thinking 50s, 60s, 70s, I'd love to get 30 years of post-business life. I've got a lot of traveling I want to do, the things I want to see. So during those first 10 years, from 50 to 60, I'm likely to be able to spend more, want to spend more on travel, on holidays. But actually, I've still got to provide for my daughter. So there's still kind of things like that. If she rocks up and says, "Daddy, I'm getting married," I've got to be able to fund those kind of expenses. So more expensive in my 50s. By the time I reach my 60s, you're limited how much money you can spend going away on coach trips. You know, when you're kind of not as physically able to be able to do the things that you wanted to do. And then by the time you're in your 70s, you're having to think about things like care. Now, it could be 70s is 80s and 60s is 70s. That's kind of arbitrary. But what I'm trying to say is that the chances are it's not going to be an even spread of your requirement for money. So work it out, work out what you need, calculating things like your kind of living, whether you need to pay off the mortgage, whether you need to buy the place that you want to stay in for the rest of your life. What does that cost in as? Cost in the kids' weddings, or if you're going to help them into their first homes, what does that look like? And I say your cost from where you are on leaving your business, when you plan to exit your business, to what you think would be a reasonable life expectancy. Obviously, 70 years and 10, we know people are now living to 80 and plus. So you pick a number. As I said, and as Mike Tyson said, you've got to start with a plan, even if things knock it sideways. So personal wealth requirement, once you've got that, once you know how much money you need, you can then work out what your current personal wealth is. So your current personal wealth, so you're gonna go through this exercise and add up what you've got, how much you've currently got sitting in your pensions, how much equity in the home that you live in today, what your savings are, any other investments, money in trust. Maybe even if you've got some kind of guarantee of inheritances, if you know you're being left some money, that's obviously going to contribute towards what you're going to have in your pot for your retirement. So getting an idea of your current personal wealth obviously is part of what we're trying to do here. So as we can then also value your business. What's your business worth today? Business valuations are awfully subjective, in that what you'll do is potentially be delusional, because lots of people are, about what it's worth. You might have an idea that it's worth a life-changing sum and you're going to be able to sell it. The truth is it's worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. But there are valuation calculations for most business types. Your accountant will be able to help you with it, or you can use a business transfer agent to value it as if you were going to sell it, even if you're not actually thinking of selling it. Getting some advice on valuations would be kind of helpful. I had an IT business, and if you had less than about 500,000 of gross profit a year, it had a 5 times multiplier. So what that meant effectively was, if there was £1 of profit on the bottom line, it made the business worth £5. What that also helped us to understand was that every time we wasted £1 on something that wasn't part of the business success, that actually it was taking £5 off the value of our business. So getting a valuation and understanding how it's calculated will help you make good decisions about your current investments to be able to drive the business. So what does a business like yours sell for? I don't know. But you need to get an idea of sums. When I valued mine, I had proper valuation done through a forensic accountant, not my own accountant. I needed independence, and they did 0.6 of revenue. So the revenue was relevant as well as the profit, and they divided the profit-based valuation by the revenue-based valuation to get an average. So get your business current valuation so we know what it's worth. You can add that to your current wealth, or your share of your business if you're only a shareholder in the business as other shareholders. Identify the wealth gap. This is, a flippantly child's play. You know what you need, you know what you've got, and you know how much your business is likely to contribute to that overall valuation. Now you know the gap. What can you do to get your business to a point that it would plug the gap? What can you save every year towards your investment? What more can you invest in your ISAs and other term policies and trusts to be able to make sure you've got enough to be able to cover the gap? People don't like thinking about this kind of stuff because we kind of presume we're going to live forever. But by thinking about it, we can actually stand a chance of delivering the success that we want out of the life that we've spent here. The next point about legacies is about skills gaps. So skills gaps are kind of tough. Here's a guy on a skateboard. Now, I can't skateboard, But that's okay, because I don't want to skateboard. I don't need to skateboard, and I'm 53. So the last thing I really want to be doing is breaking bones, having my first go at a skateboarding trick that I wouldn't understand. So, but what skills will be walking out of the door when you leave? What are the things that you currently do that nobody else within your organization does? And if you're thinking of leaving your business at any time, but I would suggest in 3 years or more, having this process of thinking about, well, okay, what do I do today that somebody else should be doing? And you've got to be honest with yourself, as to whether people are doing some of these jobs, but they're always coming to you for help, and they haven't really got it yet. They don't have the autonomy to get on and do these things. I've got some examples here. There are more in my book, but actually this kind of thing, the ideation, who's looking for the next big thing, who's doing the broad blue sky thinking about where the business is going, is that only you, or is that something you need to start teaching people how they're going to be able to look out for that? When a customer gets really upset, do you have to get involved to go and see the customer because it was your relationship originally? You signed the customer up. Are you the one that goes in and has to try and placate them or help them to understand why you've done what you've done as a business? Signing up new customers, the decision that that's an aligned customer and you're willing to sign it up, is that something that is with you, or is that something that you've now delegated? A wise chap once said to me that in the run up to exiting your business, you need to make yourself look stupid. You need to replace yourself. You need to get to a point where it's clear to the outside that the business runs without you. And very often businesses still kind of see their founders as being key to decision making. So think those thoughts, have a look at the rest of those, and think about maybe what you should be doing to get people within your organization to take on some of those skills. The great news is you're not trying to offload this to one person. To find somebody who's as all-rounder as a business founder is slim. So look for the bright spots within your organization, the team members who can take on some of these things and take responsibility for them, because that's going to be what's going to allow you to consider lots of different types of opportunities to legacy your business out, to leave, to sell. So that's the skills gap bit. If I take you now to business exits. So when I was looking at business exits for me, I kind of looked at the choices, and Paul Simon sang about there being 50 ways to leave your lover. But I reckon there's only 7 main ways to exit your business. So I'm going to talk to you about those in order. So we'll start on the first one here, the trade sale. This is the one that everybody knows the best. Trade sales are essentially, you offer your business for some money, somebody says, yes, I'll buy it, and you then sign it over to them. So the highest bidder, or it could be the most suitable bidder, the one who you kind of want. But you then have to think, what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that matter to you? If in the exit of your business, things that matter to you are things like how your customers are looked after because you've looked after them for the last 20 years, or how are the staff going to be looked after because they've given you loyal service for so many years, then those are the things that are going to wheedle out which of the trade buyers you'd be interested in selling to. They're not all equal. Some won't be able to pay you as much money, but may do the right thing by your people, if that matters to you. There's the wheel kickers problem. You put a price for your business and somebody's going to come in and offer you a bit less. They're going to come around and kick the tires and tell you why it's not worth what you thought it was worth. A kind of buyer-seller dance whilst you're toing and froing to work out whether or not you're willing to take their offer. So you end up with a marketing price versus a sale price. That's okay. You just need to understand the price you're putting out there isn't necessarily the price you're going to get, but is a good starting point for somebody to be able to come in and make you a counter offer. You will often get earn-out periods, and sometimes they're golden handcuffs. So you're held in a way that you can't trade doing something similar for a period of time. And sometimes you won't get all of your money on the front end. You'll only get a bit of it, and the rest of it will follow on over a period of potentially years. So that's a trade sale. The second one we're going to talk about here is the management buyout. Now, management buyouts are great. If you've got a solid management team and they're solid without you, this is the management team can run the business without you and they can raise the money to buy you out, then having a management buyout works well. You do need somebody who's going to step into the managing director seat that you're vacating. So don't let them think that they're going to run it by committee, because you didn't get to where you are today running it as a committee. Often with management buyouts, they're not that willing to go and everybody go and mortgage their homes to be able to pay you out. So again, you're likely to have earn-out periods. You're likely to be committed to their future success as to whether or not you get the money that you deserve for the sweat equity that's built your business over the years. So that's management buyouts. Third one, employee ownership. This was the route that I took. It doesn't mean that it's right, and it's certainly not right for everybody. It's critical. You've got good processes and you've got a strong leadership team who are going to run it. Again, you need somebody to step into that managing director seat. You need somebody who's going to take the overall responsibility for where the direction of the business is going. It's currently very tax efficient in the UK. It's where a normal trade sale or management buyout would give you entrepreneurs relief, so you would only end up paying 10% of your capital gain. Under employee ownership at the moment, it's free on the condition it's an approved scheme, so you won't pay any capital gain on the sale of your business. But it's a long time to get paid because you're only being paid out of future profits. You can make the company go and borrow some money, but they won't be able to borrow it all. You can take some of the money out of the balance sheet, but not all of it, in that the tax office doesn't kind of like big lumps of money being used to fund exits in that way, and it won't get HMRC clearance. But generally, employee ownership is the least bumpy. All of your staff get to go to work like they go to work anyway, and all of your customers get served in the way they were anyway. So employee ownership has kind of the advantage of being not very bumpy when it comes to handing it over. Fourth one on here, family succession. If you've got kids that have joined the business or are going to join the business, that is one way to be able to hand your business over, or other relatives. Do they want the business? We tried our daughter in the business. She lasted 3 months and said, "I can't work at a desk, it will kill me." Now, I think the fact that we tried was perhaps a credit to us. The fact that she was able to tell us clearly that it wasn't for her is an amazing tribute to her. And I'm very happy to support whatever she wants to do, and have more admiration for the fact that she didn't go, "Yeah, okay, Dad, I'll do it." And I mean, that's ultimately what led to us picking a different route. But it was only through talking about it, only through having these thoughts, were we able to get there. Again, you'll have problems with family succession. If you needed money as part of your exit, how are they going to raise it? Because now we've got one person who needs to be able to go and borrow some money. And is that really what you wanted to do? So if your plan was on the day you exit your business, you get a big pile of money and you go and buy a Lamborghini, then maybe this isn't the exit for you. If you can wait for future profits, then you've probably got safe hands in running your business. So number 4, move to number 5, absent owner. So go on holiday and don't come back. The idea of the absent owner to me is, if you do it gradually, you go away for 2 weeks and they run it without you, they make decisions, new customers are signed up, customer complaints are dealt with, nothing's burning down. So you go away for 3, and then you go away for 4, and then you go away for a couple of months, and gently the team manage without you. You can then just take the money remotely and they'll carry on running it until they don't. Because when things start to spin off, you won't necessarily see them because you won't be close enough. So one of the disadvantages of absent owner is you do potentially have to go and jump in every now and again when they're out of their depth, when things have sort of spun away. Remember, they don't have ownership in it. They're just working for you still. So they'll still expect you to provide some level of stimulation, but you're trying to wiggle your way from giving too much. So if you have to go and help them, would you be able to do that without upsetting everybody? Would you come in and you'd be, heads will roll, and then you'll hire some new people in the hope they can be the management team before you can then go away on your holidays again? So absent owner can work, but actually it's that going back that might be kind of difficult. So moves us to number 6, private equity or venture capital. Now, private equity, they're kind of similar. How they invest and how they look to get their return differs. But what we're seeing at the moment is lots of private equity money where organizations are on a buy and build. So they're going out and buying little businesses and bolting them together on the basis that the profitability is worth more when there's more profit. If it's a bigger pile of profit, the value of that business is higher. It's a bigger multiplier than if it's a small business. So lots of private equity businesses are buy and build. So they're getting businesses that are aligned. They could be exactly the same industry, or they could just be things that have synergy, and putting them together to turn them into one bigger business. So they have an advantage that you get your money quite quickly. So when you sell to a private equity, normally they've got a big pocket of money and they're able to pay you. And although you may have a restriction in what you can do with your life for a while, generally you've got the freedom to go and buy that supercar if that's the thing that you are exiting your business for. You need to be at an exciting growth stage for them to be excited in you. They're looking for businesses that are growing. They're not looking for businesses that have plateaued. So they want to see that you've got processes in place, because otherwise what they're doing is buying lots of sick businesses. Now, there's a value in a sick business, but you won't get anywhere near as much money for your business than if you can prove that the thing works and works well. And as I mentioned, works well without you. So as you've got the systems and processes and people in place, that means that they're going to be able to take the thing on. And yeah, so my own exposure to private equity organizations is they're relatively ruthless. They are investing other people's money. They need to be doing the right thing by the people whose money they're investing. So they will make decisions that you would have found hard. They will make easily, and they may not be the decisions that you wanted. So again, you have to be clear what your non-negotiables are, because if you were carrying people in your team, they will see that they were being carried, because your business won't hit the same numbers that they expect the businesses that they're buying and building to hit. So you don't have anywhere near as much control of that, but you have got your money. So it has to do with where you sit on that non-negotiable stakes. And then the last one, number 7, is only really for the larger companies. So to float your business on the stock exchange, to go for an initial public offering. My understanding is you need revenues in excess of about 50 million to be able to be in the small company groups within the stock exchange. But again, you need to be able to demonstrate you've got a large opportunity for continued growth to be able to get the stock market interested in investing in your company. And you won't get all of your money out in one go. You'll sell an amount of shares in your organization, continue to build it as part of a longer term strategy to get out, or to stay knowing that you've got a return as that business continues to grow and grow. So which of these is right for you? And that's kind of tough, because this is a personal thing. This is down to you. I mean, what's your choice? You need to decide which one of those you fancy, and review the skills gap that you know you've got within your team based on which one of those you're going to go down, because obviously different ones are going to need a different level of autonomy within your team to be able to make decisions and run the business in your absence. Work on your leadership team. Build your leadership team to be able to thrive without you. And remember, build it so as you don't even need to be there. So as you're the one who kind of they're waiting for you to leave. And as soon as you can, as soon as you're comfortable, communicate it if it's applicable. Get your team to know if their future is safe with what you've planned. Communicate it so as they know that they're still on the bus with you, that actually you're taking them on this next stage of the journey. So hopefully that was kind of a useful session. I mean, from my point of view, it kind of doesn't matter what you have as a plan on the condition you've got one. You might have thinned it down to a couple, but think about what you need to build within your team, within your leadership, to be able to ultimately exit. So that's kind of me. Obviously, this is a topic that is covered in the book. If you haven't already got a copy, you can get a copy on Amazon. And the next session on Tuesday, the 14th of December, is about priorities. It's about doing the right things in the time that you've got, and about some processes and tips to maybe help you do the right things at the right time. Often people get kind of caught up in the everyday and don't achieve their goals. I set myself a goal to do these 5 sessions. I have a cold. I'm still here doing it because I have a plan and I stick to my plan. Unless there's a real reason to deviate, I'm going to be here on Tuesday, the 14th of December at 11 o'clock, telling you just how I'm able to achieve my goals, why I wear a shirt like this, and why I'm enjoying my autumn years. So thank you very much for joining me today. That kind of concludes today's session. Appreciate your time, appreciate you watching this. And if I can be of any help, if you need me for anything, my contact details are, obviously you would have picked me up on LinkedIn, or look at garethjohns.co.uk, and I'll do anything I can to help you. Thank you very much and have the rest of a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.